The phone had been ringing since before 11 on a Sunday morning. Olivia May had planned to spend worrying about bills, not answering calls. By the time she picked up for the 17th call, a producer from a talk show was asking if she was the Olivia who made the pie.
What pie? What are you talking about?
Olivia May, the porch pie lady. It's in the New York Times. 10 plates that defined American cooking.
The front page of the food section held a color photo of her pie, golden, flaky, lit like a relic, above a review so reverent it read like a letter to someone already gone.
I've been selling pies on this porch for 14 years. Nobody from New York ever came here.
Her neighbor, Clara Johnson, was already scrolling through the article on her phone, reading different parts aloud while Olivia stared at the photograph.
Listen to this. The crust shatters like a secret being told, and the filling tastes like patience. Something only a woman who has waited at hospital beds could bake.
Who wrote that? It wasn't anybody who gave a name on my porch.
A week earlier, a quiet white man in a rumpled button-down had sat on the porch swing, eaten one slice, paid in exact change, and driven away without a word. Olivia had barely noticed him.
It's by a man named Arthur Brennan. The Times' main food critic, won a Pulitzer. What would he be doing in West Atlanta eating porch pie?
I've never met a white man in my life who knew what a good sweet potato pie tasted like. His mama must have raised him right.
Down the hall, her grandson Eric sat on his bed with the nebulizer mask over his face, the machine humming like a tired prayer.
Grandma, why is the phone ringing so much? You are not in trouble, are you?
No, sweetheart. Just some city folks got excited about my pie. Nothing for you to fret over.
What Eric didn't see were the stacks of medical bills on the kitchen table, the credit card she'd maxed out for his last nebulizer refill, the $4 a slice mathematics that had kept him breathing for 14 years.
If this article means I can sell more pies, maybe I can pay off the next specialist visit without robbing Peter to pay Paul.
But the phone kept lighting up with area codes from New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, offers, questions, people wanting a piece of her porch.
Clara, I don't understand. He never said a word, just ate and left. You don't write a review like that for a stranger's pie.
Girl, I am telling you, that pie tasted like somebody's memory. And whoever that white man is, he went home and wrote it down like a love letter.
A love letter? From a man who didn't speak 2 words to me. Clara, that doesn't sit right.
I looked him up. Arthur Brennan never gives interviews, travels incognito. The Times says he uses burner phones so restaurants can't trace him. Girl, you got a ghost review.
A ghost. That's what it felt like on the porch that day. He didn't look like a critic. He looked like a man carrying something heavy.
14 years ago, Olivia had carried something heavy too. Her daughter died of a stroke at 25, leaving a toddler with a cough that never went away. The pediatrician diagnosed cystic fibrosis. Daily nebulizer treatments, expensive enzymes, a revolving door of specialist visits. Costs that would break a grandmother on a fixed income.
I remember looking at my grandmother's recipe box and thinking, this might be the only thing I have to keep him alive.
So the porch table began. $4 a slice, cash only. Every Friday and Saturday for 14 years, rain or shine. But now, the article was bringing more than curiosity. Investors, media outlets, a restaurant chain wanting to buy her recipe. The phone wouldn't stop.
Olivia May, this is your chance. A woman from some big restaurant group called. She said they'd put up the money for a real bakery.
And what do they want in return, Clara? My soul? I've managed fine for 14 years without strangers telling me how to bake my grandmother's pie.
Olivia, honey, you need to think about Eric. That restaurant group could pay for a year of treatments in one check. Just hear them out.
Before Olivia could answer, the hum of the nebulizer down the hall fell silent. Then came a ragged cough that meant Eric's airways were closing up again.
Grandma, it's getting tight. Maybe we should go to the ER. I don't want another night in the hospital.
I can't keep doing this alone. But if those suits take over my pie, it won't be my grandmother's anymore. What would Mama Pearl do?
The next morning, the phone rang again. This time from a woman claiming to be Chef Antonia Ross, famous from television, offering to drive down personally 900 miles north. Arthur Brennan sat in his Manhattan apartment, the review still glowing on his laptop. He touched the frame of a woman who smiled out from an old photograph.
30 years since I sat at her kitchen table. That pie tasted like she was still in the room.
He had written the review in one sitting, never mentioning Macon or the funeral or that his mother was black. It was just a love letter to a taste he thought he'd lost forever.
Clara, I'll meet this chef. If she can promise to keep the recipe in my hands and help with Eric's bills, maybe I'll listen. Grandmama, I wish you were here to tell me what to do. You'd probably say the only thing we own is our name. Don't sell it.
Chef Antonia Ross arrived in a black Escalade, her smile camera ready, her designer apron already on for the photo op.
Olivia, darling, your pie is legendary. I want to bring it to America, not just a bakery, a brand. Think of Eric's future.
She's never touched a flour sifter. Her hands are too smooth.
We'll invest $1 million, and you'll train the team. But the name Olivia's Sweet Potato Pie becomes a registered trademark under my company.
Who writes the recipe card? And who decides when a pie is good enough to sell?
We'll standardize it, perfectly consistent. Every slice exactly the same, from Atlanta to LA.
Meanwhile, Arthur Brennan's editor called, puzzled. The Critic had filed the review and vanished. No follow-up, no explanation.
She'll never know. I just needed to taste it once, like my mother was still here.
That afternoon, Olivia called Eric's doctor. His latest test results had come back with a worrisome decline. The hospital wanted him admitted for a week.
Olivia May, you can't carry this alone. Maybe Chef Antonia's deal isn't selling your soul. Maybe it's buying Eric time.
That night, Olivia placed the glossy contract beside her grandmother's recipe card on the kitchen table. The contrast felt like a test.
Grandmama Pearl used to say a recipe is a fingerprint. You can't Xerox it. These people want to turn her hands into a stamp.
Down the hall, Eric's breathing turned shallow again, the nebulizer insufficient. She knew a hospital admission was hours away.
Grandma, don't let them take your recipe. You always told me our name is all we have. I'd rather fight without the money than lose that.
Baby, this ain't about shortcuts. This is about keeping you breathing until they find a cure. I'll do whatever it takes.
The next morning, a thick FedEx envelope arrived with no return address, the handwriting deliberate, like someone who chose every word. She opened it to a single unsigned note. Your pie tasted like a childhood I thought I'd buried. Thank you for bringing her back, even for a moment.
Clara, look at this. No name. Just these words. Could it be that food critic? Why would he care so much about a porch pie?
Girl, a man who writes like that is carrying a world of hurt. You sure you want to get tangled in it? This could be more than a review.
He could be trouble. Or he could be the only person who understands what these pies really mean.
Over the next 2 days, Clara dug up everything she could find on Arthur Brennan. Every article, every award, every public record.
He's a ghost, Olivia. No social media, no interviews. Raised white in Connecticut by a white father after his mother died. No connection to Georgia whatsoever.
So he's just a critic who happened to taste my pie and write pretty words about it? Something doesn't add up.
Then Chef Antonia Ross called again. Her voice had lost its sugary coating. She wanted a decision by Friday, or the deal was off.
Olivia, honey, I can train any Southern grandmother to make a pie. You are special because of that article. But the spotlight fades. Sign or I move on.
My grandson is in the hospital. Can you give me a week?
Friday. Then my number deletes itself from your phone. I don't wait for anyone, Miss May.
That evening, Eric was admitted to the children's ward. The copay for the week alone would wipe out 3 months of Porch sales.
Olivia May, I trust you. But that woman is a snake. Whatever you decide, don't do it scared. Do it the way your grandmama would.
Grandmama never sold her name. She just fed people. So I'll bake a pie right now in her honor and pray the answer comes with the first slice.
She carried that pie to the hospital, still warm in its foil, and set it on Eric's bedside table, like a promise she intended to keep.
Grandma, you brought pie? I can't even taste it with this mask on.
It ain't for tasting. Sweetheart, it's for asking your great-grandmama to sit with us tonight. She always listened.
After Eric's breath evened into sleep, Olivia stepped into the cold hallway and called the billing office. The new estimate for the admission swallowed her voice.
$3,000 more. That's 600 strangers who'd need to stop by my porch before Friday.
Back home, Clara had been digging deeper. On her laptop, a scanned obituary from the Macon Telegraph glowed. A black woman named Annie Pearl, renowned pie baker, survived by a son named Arthur.
Olivia, look! Annie Pearl. She won the county fair in '89 for sweet potato pie, and her son's name is Arthur. This has to be his mama.
The note said, "My pie brought her back. If Annie Pearl was his mother, he didn't just taste my cooking. He tasted his whole childhood breaking open. That man lost his mama when he was just a boy. He's been carrying a hunger no restaurant could ever fill."
So, what do you do, Olivia? You still got until Friday to decide about the chef?
Early Thursday, the hospital billing office called with news that stopped Olivia mid-bite. Eric's entire balance had been zeroed out by an anonymous wire transfer.
Who paid it? I didn't authorize anything.
The clerk had no name, only a note. In gratitude for a taste of home, her hand tightened on the receiver.
That's the Critic. Has to be. Unless Antonia is playing games to push me into signing. Chef Ross. Did you put money toward my grandson's bill? Because if you did, that doesn't buy my yes.
I don't do charity, Olivia. I buy assets. If someone paid his bill, good for you, but my deadline stands.
So it's him, Arthur Brennan. That note wasn't just a thank you. It was a confession. He's trying to make something right.
Clara pulled up a news article about a New York charity fund, founded by former Pulitzer winners, anonymous grants for struggling families that had made a recent payment to an Atlanta hospital.
He's not a ghost anymore. He's reaching out through money. But I don't want a transaction. I want to know what my pie meant to him.
She sat down and wrote a short message to the New York Times food editor. Please ask Mr. Brennan if he will meet the grandmother on the porch. I have questions he needs to answer. By Friday morning, her email to the Times sat unanswered. The food editor had not replied, and no messenger appeared on her porch.
He paid Eric's bill and vanished. Maybe that's his way of closing the book. But I can't close it until I know why my pie meant so much.
The phone rang. Chef Antonia Ross, her voice clipped and final. The deadline had arrived.
Olivia, noon is in 3 hours. I need a yes or no. I have investors waiting. Don't let pride cost you what you can't afford to lose.
You'll have my answer by 11. Not a minute sooner.
She drove to the hospital where Eric was sitting up for the first time in days, his color returning. The doctors called his turnaround remarkable.
Grandma, the nurse said an angel paid my bill. Was it that man from New York?
I think it was, baby. But he's too scared to come say hello. Some folks give and run because they can't stand to see what they've been carrying.
Olivia, I got a call from a friend at the Times. They said Brennan requested a leave of absence. He's not in New York. He's back in Georgia.
He's here? In Georgia? Then, maybe he's planning to come. But I can't wait on a maybe. I have to decide about the chef.
At 11:15, Olivia sat on the edge of her porch swing, still unready to call Antonia back. A thick cream envelope lay in Clara's hands as she came up the steps.
A courier just dropped this off. It's from Arthur Brennan. Heavy, like there's more inside than paper.
She unfolded a letter written in a careful, urgent script. I am the man who sat on your porch and said nothing. My mother was Annie Pearl Brennan, Black of Macon. She baked sweet potato pie. It was the only thing she ever gave me that stayed. The rest of the letter fell like a confession, raised by a white father who erased her, grieving a mother he never got to claim. The pie on Olivia's porch was the first taste of her in 30 years.
He didn't just taste my pie. He tasted his own mama's hands, and it broke him open. Grandmama Pearl, you knew. You sent him to me.
Olivia, if that man's mama is in your pie, then what Antonia wants to do, standardize it, brand it, would be like erasing her all over again.
The phone buzzed. Antonia Ross, for the third time. Olivia let it ring. She looked at the letter, then at the pie's $4 sign still taped to the table.
Olivia, it's 11. I need your answer. My driver is waiting.
Chef Ross, I can't give you an answer today. I just learned something that changes everything. If you walk, you walk. But I won't be rushed into betraying a ghost.
She hung up, her hand trembling. The deal might be dead, but for the first time in days, Olivia knew she hadn't sold her grandmother's name. Now she needed to find the man who'd forced this choice.
The courier envelope has a tracking number. Let me see. It left from a FedEx office in Macon yesterday. He's back in his mama's town.
Macon, that's where she's buried. He's probably sitting right now at her kitchen table. I am going there. Doctor, can Eric be alone a day? I got to find the man who saved him.
Grandma, I am fine. Go. I want you to meet him. Tell him thank you from me.
I'll stay with Eric. Take your grandmama's recipe card. You might need it to prove who you are.
Olivia drove the 2 hours to Macon with the letter folded in her pocketbook and the July sun slicing through the windshield. She stopped first at the Macon Cemetery, where a fresh grave marker read Annie Pearl Brennan, 1942-2023. A single slice of sweet potato pie sat wrapped in foil atop the dirt.
He left his own pie for her. He's still trying to feed his mama.
She knelt and placed her grandmother's recipe card beside the pie, a quiet offering. Then she turned toward the address from the obituary, a small house on Juniper Street. She parked under a pecan tree and walked to the porch. Through the screen door, she heard no sound, just a light swaying in the kitchen. She knocked. The screen door creaked open. Arthur Brennan stood barefoot in a faded shirt, his eyes red-rimmed and hollow. He looked like a man who'd been crying in the dark for days.
I am Olivia May. You sat on my porch and ate my pie and wrote about it like it was your last meal on Earth. I need to know why.
You came all this way. Please, come in. There's a story in this kitchen, and it belongs to you as much as to me.
He led her to a kitchen unchanged for decades, a flour-dusted table, a cracked mixing bowl, a tin recipe box, identical to the one in Olivia's own home.
My mother learned to bake sweet potato pie from a woman she cleaned houses with in the 60s, a woman named Pearl from Atlanta. She used to say that recipe was the only thing she ever owned that didn't belong to someone else.
Pearl. That's my grandmama. The same hands that taught me taught her.
This is her card. See the handwriting? When I tasted your pie, I knew it wasn't just a recipe. It was family. You've been baking my mother's memory for 14 years.
Your mama didn't just learn from my grandmama. She became her family. This pie is your inheritance, Mr. Brennan.
No inheritance was ever given to me. I was erased from her side, but now I know I can still taste her love in your hands.
They sat in the hum of that old kitchen, two strangers bound by a recipe card, and Olivia understood. Whatever she did next with her pies was no longer just about Eric. It was about two grandmothers who had fed their children from the same wooden spoon. Olivia returned from Macon with the recipe card, now a lifeline between two grandmothers, her tired eyes holding a new resolve.
Clara, it wasn't just my pie. It was his mama's memory. I saw the same recipe card in her handwriting. Pearl taught Annie Pearl.
You missed my deadline, Olivia. The deal is dead. You'll never get another chance like me. Enjoy your porch.
She would have erased two grandmothers for a profit margin, but the bills are still on my table.
There's a woman, Mrs. Jasmine Devereaux, runs a black food cooperative. No equity grants, no strings attached.
Mrs. Devereaux came to the porch with silver lokes and no camera crew, just a warm handshake and a simple folder.
Olivia, we want to invest in you. Not your recipe, not your name. A grant for a small shop. You own everything.
What do you get out of it?
A stronger community. And a slice of that pie when it opens.
She called Jasmine that evening and said yes. The next morning, a letter from Arthur arrived with 2 words, "Bless you." She found it on a Tuesday, a dilapidated shoe repair shop with a "For Rent" sign directly across from the children's hospital where Eric's pediatrician practiced.
Grandma, it's right across from my doctor. Like it was waiting for us.
14 years of walking into that hospital, holding his hand. Now I'll be baking right where he can see me. Mrs. Devereaux, we found the spot. Across from the pediatric wing, I want the sign to say Olivia's sweet potato pie, cash only.
It's yours, baby. The grant clears today. Start your ovens.
Eric, now discharged and gaining strength, insisted on painting the walls himself, his oxygen tube taped carefully under his nose as he rolled on the pale yellow.
Every time I paint a wall, I am breathing easier. Maybe the shop is medicine too.
A call came from another restaurant chain, offering to buy the lease outright. Olivia didn't let them finish the sentence. On a bright Saturday, Olivia and Eric hung the wooden sign above the door, her grandmother's recipe card now laminated and displayed inside the frame. A final envelope arrived from Arthur, containing a laminated copy of his mother's recipe card and a note, "I'll be there on opening day." So will she. The night before opening, Olivia stood in the silent shop, hanging her grandmother's recipe card alongside Arthur's mother's copy on the wall between them.
2 grandmas, 2 recipe cards, 1 pie. You think they'd be proud?
They'd probably say we should have started charging $5. Eric, tomorrow that man will walk through those doors. I want you to thank him. He's carrying his mama in his pocket.
Voicemail, Olivia May. The whole block is buzzing. I bought a new dress. It's happening, girl.
Grandma, are you scared? Like, what if nobody comes?
Scared? I've been scared for 14 years and still baked every Friday. Fear don't stop the oven.
She pressed 2 quarters into the cash-only sticker on the door, a tiny superstitious offering to the grandmothers.
Tomorrow morning, we feed 100 people with those 2 women's hands. They never met, but their pies will sit on the same plate.
They locked up and walked home under a star-cracked sky. In the distance, the shop's wooden sign glowed under a street lamp, waiting. At first light, the line already curled around the block. Neighbors, nurses from the hospital, children clutching dollar bills.
Grandma, look! The whole street is here. I've never seen so many smiles on our block.
Welcome, sweetheart. This pie is $4, cash only, same as it ever was.
A black Escalade pulled to the curb. Chef Antonia Ross stepped out, flanked by 2 camera operators, and the crowd parted.
Olivia, darling, I am here to give you one last chance. $100,000 right now for the trademark. Your pie belongs in the world.
This pie belongs to 2 grandmothers you'll never meet. I am not selling their memory to a television show.
You heard her. This is community. Go on back to your television show.
The cameras turned off. Antonia climbed back into the Escalade. The crowd cheered, but a hush fell as a gray-haired man in a simple suit approached from the other side of the street.
I promised I'd be here. May I have a slice of pie, Miss May? I brought my mother.
Olivia saw the old photograph in his hand, Annie Pearl, smiling just like her grandmama. She nodded, unable to speak, and cut into a fresh pie. She set the plate before him, the pie still steaming, and for a long moment, the only sound was the soft click of forks from nearby tables.
This is it. The exact sweetness she used to put in the crust. I haven't tasted it since I was 7.
Mr. Brennan, I am Eric. You paid my hospital bill. I just want to say thank you.
You are the reason she baked all those years. I only gave back a fraction of what your grandmother gave me.
They're both my boys now. Grandmama Pearl, you saw this all the way from heaven.
Somebody called the Times? The food critic is crying into his pie.
But nobody called. The moment was too fragile. Arthur simply ate, while the photograph of his mother sat on the counter like a third guest.
You are welcome here every day, Mr. Brennan. This shop is as much your inheritance as it is Eric's.
A reporter from the local Atlanta paper slipped inside, snapping a quiet photo of the two old hands, one black, one white, both resting on the same recipe card. The line outside surged forward. Pies sold faster than they could be sliced, and by noon the display case stood empty, save for a single slice reserved for Annie Pearl.
14 years on that porch, and the biggest day didn't feel bigger than a quiet Tuesday. Just more hands reaching for the same slice.
She sat on the bench outside the shop as the last customers drifted home, the reserved slice still in its box beside her.
Miss May, before I go, I want to leave this for the shop. My mother's original recipe. She'd want it here, next to Pearl's.
I'll frame it right beside Grandmama's. Two women who never met, now side by side every day. That's better than any brand.
Grandma, Mrs. Devereaux says we can start a delivery service for kids stuck in the hospital. I want to run it.
We'll call it the Pie to the Ward program. Every dollar from the community keeps a child breathing and a grandmother baking.
The next morning, the framed recipes drew a quiet line of visitors. Older women who recognized the handwriting, young mothers who asked to take a picture.
That's my grandmama, Pearl, and her friend Annie. They baked through the Depression, through Jim Crow, through everything. Now they're feeding you.
Arthur caught a flight back to New York, but not before leaving his cellular number on a napkin under a slice of pie, and the open sign flickered on every morning at 7. A porch without walls, still $4 a slice, still cash only. A month later, the Pie to the Ward program delivered its 100th slice to a boy on the 4th floor who just received a difficult diagnosis.
I brought you pie. My grandma says the crust can fix almost anything that medicine can't.
This is what the $4 was always for, not just medicine, but moments when a sick child forgot they were sick.
The pediatrician across the street started recommending Olivia's pie to parents, not for the sugar, but for the sweetness of knowing someone cared.
I hung a sign in the window. It says, "Our pie helps you breathe easier. Ask Eric."
On the bench outside, Olivia read a letter from Arthur, his careful script now familiar. I've started baking. I am not good yet, but my kitchen smells like her now. She tucked the letter into the Bible beside Annie Pearl's recipe card and the original review from the Times, now creased from rereading.
Eric, someday you'll tell your children about two grandmas who fed a block with nothing but flour, sweet potatoes, and patience.
And a white man who cried into his pie. Grandma, don't forget him.
She laughed, the sound rolling out across the porch that was now a whole storefront. And she knew the story had never really been about a review. Evenings, Olivia still sits on the bench outside her shop, shelling pecans or just watching the hospital across the street. The pie's $4, cash only. Sign still hangs in the window, right where she taped it the first Friday. Now laminated but unchanged.
You know, Olivia May, you turned $4 into a whole family tree. You got branches in New York now?
That man, Arthur, writes me every week now. Says his first solo pie was a disaster, but he's learning. I told him his mama would be proud.
In New York, Arthur kept a slice of pie in his freezer, wrapped like a relic, pulling it out on hard days to taste a little of Macon. Back in Atlanta, the recipe card now had a new line at the bottom, added in Olivia's careful cursive. Annie Pearl's spirit lives in every crust. Kids from the neighborhood still line up with crumpled dollars, asking Eric about his breathing, and he always says the same thing. Better, way better.
14 years on that porch, and now this. Grandmama, you fed 2 families from one bowl. I hope you are smiling.
The last light caught the window, and for a moment, the reflection showed 2 old women, one dark, one light, stirring batter in a kitchen that never really closed. Then the shop light flicked off, and the sign read closed. But the porch, the real porch, never stopped feeding anyone. Each morning, before the city stirred, Olivia walked to the shop in the lavender dark, same as she'd walked to the porch for 14 years. The ovens were already warm when the first child pressed $1 against the glass. She handed over a slice, the crust still flaking gold, and the child smiled as if she'd been given a secret.
Same price, same hands, same reason. Nothing's changed but the address.
Eric came in, his breathing clear, and took his place behind the register, flipping the open sign with the ease of a boy who was winning. Across the street, a child on the 4th floor pressed a palm to the window, watching the line curl, knowing a pie would come for him soon. And somewhere in a New York kitchen, Arthur slid his own sweet potato pie into the oven, his mother's recipe card taped to the cabinet.
We're all just feeding the ones we love. That's all a pie ever was.
The sun broke over the rooftop, catching the pie's $4, cash only sign in the window, still standing after all this time. And on the bench, Olivia closed her eyes and listened to the neighborhood waking up around her. The sweet, steady hum of a porch that would never close.